Julius Caesar. Julius Caesar was one of the most famous men in ancient Rome, which is impressive considering Rome had no shortage of dramatic men in sandals. He came from a powerful family, built his name through military success, and became extremely popular with ordinary Romans. The issue was that he also kept collecting power like it was a hobby. His opponents in the Senate believed he was weakening the Roman Republic, while his supporters saw him as the only man strong enough to fix it. When Caesar crossed the Rubicon with his army, he was not just taking a walk across a river. He was openly challenging the Roman state, and a major internal conflict followed. Outside politics, Caesar's personal life also attracted plenty of attention. His relationship with Cleopatra became one of history's most famous political romances, and ancient writers also connected him to scandals involving powerful Roman women. Some of those stories are difficult to prove, but the fact that people kept repeating them shows how much Caesar lived in the public eye. He mattered because his rise helped bring the Roman Republic to an end and opened the road to empire. To some, he was a genius reformer. To others, he was a warning sign with a nice haircut. Genghis Khan. Genghis Khan began life on the Mongolian steppe and rose from a brutal childhood to become the founder of the Mongol Empire. He united divided tribes, built a disciplined army, and created one of the largest land empires in history. His military system was fast, organized, and extremely effective. The Mongols helped connect huge parts of Asia and Europe through trade and communication, but their campaigns also caused severe destruction in many places that resisted them. So yes, history gave him both empire builder and very bad news if you lived in the wrong city. What makes him controversial is that his image changes depending on where you are. In Mongolia, he is often remembered as a national founder and symbol of strength. In many other places, he is remembered for conquest, fear, and large-scale suffering. His personal life also became part of his legend. Genghis Khan had multiple wives and many children, which was common for powerful rulers in his world, but his family politics later shaped the empire itself. His sons and grandsons inherited enormous power, and, as expected, a giant empire run by ambitious relatives did not stay calm forever. Genghis Khan matters because he changed the map of the world. The uncomfortable part is that he changed it through both state building and extreme force. Napoleon Bonaparte. Napoleon Bonaparte came from Corsica and rose during the chaos after the French Revolution. He became a brilliant general, then first consul, and eventually emperor of France, because apparently becoming just the most powerful man in the country was not dramatic enough. His supporters saw him as a leader who brought order, rewarded talent, and created reforms like the Napoleonic Code. His critics saw him as a man who turned a revolution against monarchy into an empire centered on himself. That is a little awkward, historically speaking. Napoleon's campaigns spread across Europe and caused enormous suffering, but they also changed laws, borders, governments, and ideas about modern states. His personal life was just as theatrical. He loved Josephine, married her, then divorced her because she could not give him an heir. Very romantic, if your idea of romance includes dynastic pressure and paperwork. He later married Marie-Louise of Austria, turning marriage into another political strategy. There were also affairs, rumors, and enough personal drama to remind everyone that even military geniuses can still behave like messy celebrities. Napoleon matters because he was both a reformer and a conqueror. He modernized parts of Europe while leading the continent through years of conflict. That is why his legacy still refuses to sit quietly in one category. Adolf Hitler. Adolf Hitler is one of the most infamous figures in modern history. He rose to power in Germany during a period of economic crisis, political anger, and national humiliation after the First World War. Through propaganda, intimidation, and extreme nationalist ideology, he turned hatred into government policy. Once in power, he built an authoritarian system, crushed opposition, and led Germany into the Second World War. His regime carried out the Holocaust, in which 6 million Jews were killed, along with millions of others, including Roma people, disabled people, political opponents, and civilians across occupied Europe. There is no balanced way to soften that legacy. It was state-organized persecution and violence on a massive scale. Outside the main political story, Hitler's private life was strange and tightly controlled. His relationship with Eva Braun was hidden from the public for years because the Nazi image machine wanted him to appear fully devoted to Germany. They married only near the very end, in the bunker, when the regime was collapsing. So even his wedding somehow arrived with the atmosphere of a historical disaster. Hitler matters because his life shows how dangerous it becomes when conspiracy theories, racial hatred, propaganda, and absolute power merge into one system. His legacy is not controversial because people are unsure about the harm he caused. It is controversial because the scale of that harm is still difficult to fully absorb. Joseph Stalin. Joseph Stalin became the leader of the Soviet Union after Lenin and turned the country into a major world power. Under his rule, the Soviet Union industrialized quickly, fought Nazi Germany, and emerged as one of the two superpowers of the 20th century. That is the part his defenders usually point to first. The part they tend to say more quietly is the mass repression, forced collectivization, famine, political purges, show trials, state killings, and labor camps. Stalin built power through fear, and he did not exactly have a relaxed attitude toward disagreement. If someone became too popular, too independent, or too inconvenient, their future could become very uncertain very quickly. His personal life also carried tragedy and harshness. His second wife, Nadezhda Alliluyeva, died in 1932, and her death has often been discussed in connection with the pressure and darkness around Stalin's private world. His relationship with his children was also famously difficult, especially with his son Yakov, whose fate during the Second World War added another grim chapter to the family story. Stalin matters because his rule helped shape the 20th century, but at an enormous human cost. He turned the Soviet Union into a global power, while making millions of people live under suspicion, hardship, and fear. Efficient, in the coldest possible meaning of the word. Mao Zedong. Mao Zedong was the leader of the Chinese Communist Revolution and the founding figure of the People's Republic of China. He came from a rural background and built a movement that promised to free China from poverty, foreign domination, and internal weakness. To many supporters, Mao represents national independence and revolution. To many critics, he represents the danger of giving one leader too much control over a society. The Great Leap Forward was meant to rapidly transform China's economy, but it ended in a devastating famine. The Cultural Revolution later pushed the country into years of political chaos, persecution, and social breakdown. Mao's image is still complicated because the modern Chinese state was built under his leadership, but many of his policies caused immense suffering. His personal life also adds to the controversy. Mao married several times, and his later wife, Jiang Qing, became a powerful political figure during the Cultural Revolution. That is quite a leap from private relationship to major role in national upheaval. His lifestyle also clashed with the simple revolutionary image he promoted. Mao matters because he helped create modern China, and modern China became one of the most important countries in the world. But his legacy comes with a heavy question. How much harm can be excused in the name of revolution? Donald Trump. Donald Trump is one of the most controversial political figures of recent history. Before politics, he was known as a businessman, real estate figure, reality television personality, and public celebrity. Then he entered politics with a style that was direct, aggressive, and completely uninterested in sounding like a normal politician. To his supporters, that was the whole point. They saw him as someone challenging elites, media institutions, and the political establishment. To his critics, he encouraged division, weakened trust in institutions, and turned politics into a daily argument with notifications turned on. What makes Trump especially modern is that his controversies did not just happen through speeches or policies. They happened through television, rallies, court cases, social media posts, leaked recordings, lawsuits, and headlines that seemed to reproduce overnight. His personal life also became part of the political story. He has been married 3 times, and allegations involving past relationships and hush money payments became central to a criminal case in New York, where he was convicted in 2024 of falsifying business records. He has denied wrongdoing and has continued to fight legal battles, which is very on brand for a man whose public life has often looked like a legal drama with campaign music. Trump matters because he changed American politics and influenced political movements far beyond the United States. Whether people see him as a disruptor, a defender of ordinary voters, or a serious risk to democratic norms, his impact is impossible to ignore.